Hello and welcome to another video of chess. In this video, we shall be learning about the tactical theme clearance. First, we shall know what clearance exactly means in respect to chess. We shall be going through some examples, and finally, we shall be going through a game played by a chess master, a full game played by a chess master, and see how he used the theme of clearance to win a game of chess. Now, to understand the concept of clearance better, let's compare chess to a war. Chess is a war game, and the strategy of chess is exactly the strategy of a war. We know that in wars or in battles, it's very important to keep the lines of communication open. The supply routes, the communication, the supply chains should always be open for transfer of soldiers, arms, and logistics to the battlefield. Right? Now, the concept applies to chess as well. Here we have to keep the lines, the diagonals, the squares ready for our important pieces so that we can attack our opponents better. Now let's understand this same concept of clearance through some practical examples. Now in the first example here we see our line, the important line of attack is G file, where both our rooks and queens are lined up and it is very near to the black king. And then we realize that if the queen lands on G7, it's an immediate checkmate. Well, the queen is supported by the rook, but how can the queen land on G7? Can we play rook G8 and vacate the square for the queen? No, because the rook will capture the rook and the queen can't land here because the rook will capture the queen. Can we play rook f7 to vacate the G7 square? Again, no, because the queen will capture f7 and queen G7 is met by queen takes G7. So the right move is rook h7 check, and irrespective of how black takes the rook, he can capture with the knight, he can capture with the king, but in both cases we play queen G7 and it's checkmate. Now this is the first example of clearance. White cleared the G7 square for the queen. As if the white rook said, I can't perform the job, so he leaves the square open for the queen to perform the job. Okay, just like in football, we pass the ball to our teammate to score goals. In the same way, the rook passed the buck to the queen to checkmate. Okay, now the next example is even more interesting. Here it is white to play, and you have to find a way for white to defend and checkmate black. Now the point is, if it is black to play, black can actually go queen takes a2 and white is checkmated at once. And how does white defend? Can he play rook d2, defend with the rook? Even if he plays rook d2, black will still play queen a2 check, and when white captures the queen, black will again capture this with the rook. Supported by the bishop, it's check. The king can't move to b1 because of the rook, and it's checkmate. So, how does white defend against the checkmate? The answer is counter-attack. Now, instead of defending, white can checkmate black in two moves. And this is how. The queen takes the pawn, check. Fully knowing that the knight can actually capture our queen. But now we play knight f5, check, forcing the king to come here, and we play h5 The king can't go anywhere, it's checkmate. Now, how do we arrive at this move, queen g5? Well, we see knight f5 is a very effective move. White would win immediately. So the queen says, okay, I can't do anything on f5. He asks the knight to perform the job. So he vacates the square for the knight, and then the knight does the finishing job. Okay, this is called clearing a square for the other piece, for our teammate to perform the job. And someone said chess is not a team game, but such a nice example of teamwork. Okay, now here we have a slightly different version of the same theme. It is white to play and win. White does find a way to win. He looks at the position, he finds exactly where black is weak, and he executes his plan according to black's weakness. Now he sees weakness is exactly not the king, because all black's pieces are supporting. There are many pieces which are supporting or defending the king side. But the real weakness lies elsewhere. White played bishop f7 check. Black was surprised because the pawn is defended by two pieces, right? Rook f7, knight f7, king f7. So black can very easily defend this. Then why did white play bishop f7? To vacate the c4 square for the knight. The bishop was here previously. Suddenly the knight landed here and the queen doesn't have any square to go. The d8 is blocked by his own rook. c7, there's a bishop on g3. It's attacking the square. Now the queen is trapped and white wins the queen. Instead of attacking the king, white had an eye on the black queen. So he vacated the c4 square to trap the queen. But black was under illusion. He thought white is attacking the king. But no, he was attacking the queen. Okay, so these are the various types of different examples of how you can use vacating the squares to win. Another example, white to play and win. Well, I think it should not be very difficult for you if you spot that if the queen lands on a5, it's checkmate immediately. So the bishop has to vacate the a5 square. And how does it do? If it goes to d8 with the idea of queen a5 check, black will play b6 and the king will run away from b7. So in order to be more effective, white attacks the queen even while he is threatening queen a5. So it's 2 in 1, attacking the queen and threatening queen a5. If black takes with the rook, white delivers queen a5 checkmate. And if he takes with the queen to keep an eye here, white will simply capture the queen and then play queen a5, next move. So this is how white wins using the tactics of vacating the square. Another example, vacating the square. White to play and win. You guessed it, the right move is, well, the knight goes to e6 and wins the queen by forking the king and queen. But right now there's a queen standing here. So what does queen do? He moves away while killing a knight. He has captured a knight. When black recaptures, white plays knight e6 check and wins back the queen. So he is having an extra knight. So this is how white managed to vacate the e6 square and win immediately. So these are some of the examples of how you can use clearance to actually get big advantage or win immediately. Now we shall be going through a game which was played in 1899 between a player named Imbush, who was playing with white, and Goring, who was playing with black. The game was played in the German town of Munich. Now here white played e4, black went e5, white brought out his bishop, bishop c4, black played knight f6, and white played knight c3. Black immediately played a tricky move. He played knight takes e4. He is sacrificing a knight for a pawn. If white takes the knight, white is a knight ahead for a pawn, but then black will play immediately d5, hitting or forking both knight and bishop, and this pawn is supported by the queen. So black will get back the lost piece immediately. So this is a temporary sacrifice. He will regain it immediately. White, instead of capturing the knight, went for bishop f7 check. It's a counter sacrifice. So white saw that if I capture the knight, black will take back the knight. So why not give up my bishop and then take the knight? Now black had given this knight for a pawn. White is also giving up his bishop for a pawn. Everything's equal. Now black played knight c6 and white went queen f3 check. Black's king went back to g8, and it was a big mistake. Can you spot why? It is white to play and win immediately. Well, white immediately spotted the king is vulnerable along this diagonal. So if we can manage to give a check, the king will have no square to escape. But if white plays queen b3 check at once, black can block the diagonal by playing d5, and the pawn is supported with the queen. So what white did is, he went knight g5, threatening queen f7 check with the help of the knight, with support of the knight, and queen d5 check and checkmate. Now when black captured the knight, white went queen d5 check, and surprisingly, black has no defense. It's checkmate. Okay, so knight g5 was basically a double attack, but more importantly, it cleared the diagonal for the queen. This diagonal previously was blocked by the knight. Now the queen will land here to win. So these are some instances of clearance. I'm sure there are thousands and thousands of interesting examples which you can find when you play a game of chess with your opponents. So keep clearance in mind and clear the path of your important chess pieces while attacking. Okay, with that I end this video. We shall be meeting for the next lesson in the next video. Goodbye.